This past week has been one of the strangest weeks I've had in many, many years. Usually I'll write scripts and at least bullet points to follow during my podcast, and I have none sitting in front of me today. And we're going to begin our podcast right there.
Computers are live, mixer is up, levels are good, equalizer is good, ready channels 1 and 2. Mic is live in 3, 2, 1, roll it. Welcome, listeners, to the My Practice, My Business podcast, where we teach dentists and their teams how to reclaim forgotten profitability in dentistry with our clinical business of dentistry training. And now, the host of our show, the clinical director at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorup.
I want to begin by talking about the training I went through last Saturday at Patterson Dental on Cerec. There was a doc there who's been doing Cerec for years and years and years, and I just want to ramble quick because I want to get to the meat of the subject today. But he did a fantastic job. Dr. Hadfield, I think was his name. I don't know him personally here in the Salt Lake City area. And then Christine with Patterson Dental, she's also a fantastic trainer. She was there. Even my sales rep showed up just to make sure everybody was happy and copacetic. And it's just what a great team that we have here in Salt Lake with Patterson Dental. They do really care about the people that they serve. 2 other practices were there, and those 2 practices happened to be our clients. It was kind of fun listening to the doc. He was talking about, he's been doing Cerec for a long time. Back in the day when Cerec came out, it was all about, hey, you can do inlays and onlays and offer your patients, choice on inlays and onlays and go from a 2-3 surface composite to 4 surface composite filling. And instead of doing a crown, you can do an onlay, which, obviously preserves tooth structure. We all know that. And many times that's the right choice to give the patient. But it was interesting back in the day, that was the selling point. The talking point with doing Cerec is being able to do those kinds of restorations in-house. And I remember a good friend of mine bought Cerec, and he did a ton of inlays and onlays. And back then, we were getting paid, $450, $550 per unit. Instead of making $100 on a filling, you could make a lot more on inlays and onlays. Throughout the years, insurances would deny those claims, and excuse me, but they, if you show pictures, if you take pictures, intraoral pictures, and you show the need for the onlay, and you push back, I loved it. This doc was totally on the ball with this one talking point that if you do that, the insurance companies, they have a little tickler file like all your practice management softwares do. When a chart pulls up, it'll say, you have information about your patient that pops up there. Allergies or things that you want to have pop up based upon maybe what you talked with them about at their last appointment. And so I thought this, and he said, insurance companies, if they know you're that doctor that don't mess with, I'm not doing things I shouldn't be doing, I'm showing you pictures, I can prove the need for treatment. And that's what it's about, is proving that need for treatment. Then you won't get those denials like other docs do. And we know that we teach that at MPMB like crazy, only we take it to a whole new level. And little did this doc know that he can provide value-added service and also charge an additional fee for that. But it was great training, and this past week I did a couple more bridges, 3-unit bridges on patients that elected to go that route instead of going an implant route, which is a whole nother topic that we could talk about, making sure that we give our patients choice with pros and cons and let it be their decision. That's really, really important. In fact, our medical malpractice insurance carrier here, PIE, in the state of Utah, has made that comment over and over again that you've got to give the patient choice, because that can come back and bite you in the rear sometimes if something goes awry, goes wrong, or if just nature takes over, and then they think it's your fault, which happens, it's nature most of the time. So anyway, I'm there going through the training, I'm listening, I'm seeing the technology with this prime scan, and heaven only knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years with other scanning products. But it was like fantastic information that and training that we got. And these 2 bridges that I did this past week have been unbelievable. The ability to stain and glaze, and stain and glaze again, and stain and glaze again in the Surefire system, to just bring that shade perfectly into the patient's natural dentition. That it's just phenomenal. It's so amazing. And one of the comments that the instructor said, it's like, we're not trying to be a Picasso of matching shades. We're just trying to match what Picasso has already done. And I thought, that's a powerful statement. And that's exactly, we're not the artists, The man upstairs is the artist. We're just trying to come close. And I love that. I love that analogy, that comment. It puts things in perspective, because we aren't perfect. We're not going to get it perfect every time, but coming close to the patient's satisfaction, that's what we do. But the reason why this has been such a crazy, interesting week is because I had my good friend and lab owner next door to me come over, and he says, "Rob, do you got a minute? Hey, who's your rep from Patterson that you bought your Cerec from?" And I gave him the name and phone number, and I said, "Why do you ask?" And he said, and he kind of was holding back, and he didn't want to really mention it. But after talking with him for several minutes, he has lost a couple more of his bread and butter doctors on single units to Cerec. Isn't that interesting? And I was talking to him, and you've got to understand, Jim is an unbelievable technician. He is like, his skills and ability to match shades and the work and craftsmanship that he does is fantastic. He was trained by Gordon Christensen's master technician, and it just shows. Plus, these lab techs, a lot of them just have that art gene in them where they see colors and they just do fantastic work. And all of you, I'm boring you to death. You know what I'm talking about. He's one of those guys. But he got talking with me, and I was like, my heart went out to him. I don't know what to say. Dentistry is going digital. And as we were talking, he was talking to me about how many of his docs, they make a great prep, but their impressions suffer from time to time. Or their impressions are perfect, but their preps are not. And having owned a lab, I totally understand what he's saying. I mean, we had one doc where the techs would say, "Dr. Rob, I don't know whether to close my eyes or put the microscope on. I think I'm going to get the same result trimming the margin." That's pretty funny. And there's just, some docs are so good, bedside manner, and so smart, but they just have a tough time getting their fingers and their hand to do what their brain wants them to do. And yet they do clinically acceptably, good enough work that it's okay. But, not all of us have the ability to do a lot of things. I mean, I look at a lot of you out there, and you guys do so many things better than I do them, and I respect that, and I know that we all have strengths and weaknesses in what we do. And so I'm not pointing fingers is what I'm trying to say. I've been doing this too long to know that there should be no finger pointing ever. But there's I'm like, okay, maybe once in a while. But anyway, I'm like going, gosh, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for the laboratories out there, because as he was talking with me, and even when he's saying that about all of us out there that are docs, clinicians, and we're doing our best, I'm telling you right now that the new the new software in Cerec and the new Prime Scan, it makes it almost idiot-proof. It's amazing. And keep in mind that I just barely got my Cerec installed with the ability to do bridges, and I've been sending my bridges to him forever. And I know that he knows I have bridge capability because he came in and he saw the new Cerec sitting there, and I know he's not stupid. And I'm feeling bad because I'm thinking to myself, Jim, you do fantastic crown and bridge work. Make no mistake about it. But now I'm able to rival you and deliver that product in the same appointment. And I know that that's got to cause him concern, as it does many labs. And so as we're continuing to communicate, I'm thinking to myself, I understand what you're saying, Jim. I understand that you're, a lot of docs out there, they don't give enough room. And, which is another talking point. Oh, man, Dr. Hadfield in the training, I loved this point because I couldn't agree with it more. Going CAD-CAM definitely makes you a better clinician. Ho. When you see your preps and you see what you've done up close and personal, you strive to do better. And the ability with loops and everything that we didn't have many years ago, with the ability to see things up close, and when you scan things and you look at it and you go, man, I mean, several times I've scanned my own work and I just stop the scan, hit the delete, and go back down and touch a margin up a little bit better, make a wall a little nicer, round a corner a little bit more. It just is fantastic in the fact that it pushes you to do better. I love that. So anyway, going back to the lab communication, I'm talking with him and I'm thinking to myself, I understand your concerns about dentists and sometimes their abilities, but here's the thing. The scanning takes away the problems with the impressions. The, poor margins, well, I just answered that question. You start to do better work with CAD-CAM, and I can't say anything to him because I feel bad. My heart goes out to him with what's coming down the tracks. On the same token, I'm telling you right now, I really would like to try a full mouth case again like I did with E4D. I did a couple of full mouth cases. When I say full mouth cases, second bite to second bite. But I'm going... I still think that I cannot do as good of a job as he can do on that type of a procedure, and so my lab is the go-to place still for that. Some of you Cerec users out there are probably going, "Oh, Rob, you just need to try it, and you'll get better." Blah blah blah. I agree. I completely agree, and I'm going to play with it. One of these days, and do maybe 6 anteriors and give it a test because the new software is just so fantastic. Having said that, I just like the work of the lab, just better than what I can do. So those are the kinds of things. But as I'm talking to Jim, he's like, "Rob, the bread and butter cases are the single units. I mean, those are the things that I make I make money on." Doing constantly. It's not the full mouth cases don't come along every day. And I'm like, he's right. They don't. And I'm going, gosh, I don't know what to tell you. Now a lot of offices want to just get scanners and they don't want to do the milling and everything else in the office. And if they just do the scanning, it's not it's just not as much money to put out there. So I'm going, geez, all right. And he's looking at, being able to accept digital images, but every time he does, it's $80 on the lab's end to accept a digital image. And so what happens is we got all these consultants out there, get a scanner, send it to the lab, it'll reduce your lab fee, when in fact it actually costs the lab money to have models made. But then I said to Jim, why are you making models? The models are virtual. And I said, gosh, they ought to scan it. They should draw the margin and then send it to you. And he goes, that would be no liability on my end. That's a great idea. Because we can see the margin. The doc should scan. If you're not going to mill it in office, you should scan it, draw your margin, and send it off to the lab. Well, after talking with him at the beginning of the week, I'm looking in the ADA news, and I see our good friends, our good friend Jim from Glidewell Dental Lab. I look at an advertisement in there. Oh my gosh! I'm like, by the way, hats off to Jim Glidewell. I mean, a lot of people, throwing arrows at him in his back, but what a great guy! What a great lab he created, and I say that because I love success stories. And not just because my daughter worked for him for a period of time in his lab that he owns in Costa Rica, but but it was, I mean, it's just, Glidewell's done a great job. I still order some, I send all my tap appliances out there to him because their lab does a great work on the tap appliances. So, but, and I'm thinking to myself, Jim is always, he doesn't know me. I mean, we've never met. I just love watching individuals in their companies and success stories, but he's always been a step ahead. And I see this ad, your dental practice revolutionized. Welcome to the Glidewell IO in-office solution. I'm like, grow your practice and your profit with Glidewell IO. Mill and deliver Bruxer crowns, the thing that he's branded, right? In office for only $35 per unit. Save over 65% on your lab bill. And what are they doing? They're selling the iTero Element scanner with their little milling system. It looks like is what I'm seeing, and you can do single units. They don't have the ability, so we called on it. You don't have the ability to do bridges and other work, like aligners or anything like that, with what they've got set up here. But for $65,000, a scanner, it looks like a mill and an oven. I mean, it's like everything's set just to do Bruxer crowns at $35 a unit. I mean, that's what they're charging, I'm sure, for the block. And as we all know, there's more to it than that. You've got to, there's other costs of goods, the burrs and everything like that. But I'm thinking to myself, my poor lab guy next door, here's Glidewell. They're actually out there selling their own systems and selling blocks. And I thought, what a brilliant business decision that Jim Glidewell is going down. He realizes, and then I find out from my buddy Jim that one of the major labs here in town just laid off a bunch of workers. And the rumor is because, they don't have that much work coming in like they used to. And CAD/CAM's taken over slowly but surely. And I'm going, and when I say slowly but surely, I'm almost thinking at a speed never before seen. If you're just talking single units, it's unbelievable. With E4D, it would take me, with the system that I originally had, I mean, we'd block out 2 hours. With the new Cerec and Prime Scan, we're looking at 90 minutes. It's just that fast. It's amazing. Anyway, I'm looking at this going, at this ad, I'm just thinking about that for single units, and if you wanted to get into CAD/CAM, that's not a bad place, not a bad price point. I would just say that Cerec definitely launches way past that with abilities and things that you can do above and beyond. But I see this and I'm thinking, here we go. The competition's going to start to increase as other systems come on board, and you should start seeing prices drop a little bit. But I don't think I'm just saying you probably don't have to wait. And then I'm just, our company, we teach and have taught for years. You're way more profitable when you give the patient choice. When you give a patient choice on the type of restoration they want, and we all know that there's differences in products and materials, and especially the time it takes a really good technician to, put characterization and anatomy and things into a tooth. And a lot of people are like, well, just shove a Bruxer or just zirconia in the back, and people don't notice, and they don't care what's in the back of their mouths. Well, that's not entirely true. I've received many patients from other offices where the shades haven't been quite right, and the crowns have, lack anatomy, I guess, is for better terminology to use. And they see the difference in the types of crowns that we deliver in our practice versus other crowns that are delivered that are just basic crowns. But they got what they paid for. And so I'm going, well, patient, if you want a better crown in your mouth that has more characterization and is prettier and stronger and lasts longer, or has the same wearability as your enamel, which was a major discussion last Saturday, talking about zirconia, any kind of zirconia restoration. I just haven't seen it. I have not seen a zirconia crown, I don't care how polished it is, that doesn't have a wear rate against opposing enamel, even opposing old porcelain. That is, especially with somebody who's a grinder, that zirconia is going to win every time, which led to a whole other topic. When you're if patients have different crowns in their mouths, you go with a zirconia restoration, or they're a grinder and you want to maintain their vertical dimension of occlusion, maybe you want to look at having at least 4 molars opposing with zirconia. That was just a conversation that we had, and as for me, I'd still rather put in lithium disilicate, like IPS Emax, and have a night guard in that patient. So that's just, everybody's different, and there's no more right or wrong answer, and it's what you feel good with as a clinician. But I'm looking at this, you guys, going, wow, even one of the major lab players in the United States, Glidewell, is marketing CAD/CAM from them. If that doesn't tell you where this technology is going, I don't know what will. And I don't know what the competitive advantage can be to Crown and Bridge Labs. I mean, there's still nothing really good out there, in my opinion, when it comes to removable prosthetics. And maybe these Crown and Bridge Labs, maybe they need to start to a little bit of a focus on removable. But having said that, I'm talking to one of our clients at the training on Saturday, and Celeste is she's a practicing dentist up north of here, and we're talking about like all on 4 and implants. And I'm going, in my practice, I have a very cottage industry type practice. My patients are super healthy. In fact, the health of patients across the nation continues to increase. There will always be those patients out there that don't take care of their mouths, but in my neck of the woods, I have super healthy, health conscientious patients when it comes to oral health. And I don't have, if I do one denture or one partial a year, that's about it. I don't have those patients per se where I can do like all on 4s and placing implants and all the time. So I'm going, gosh, I wish, it's almost like I'm jealous that Celeste gets to place, implants, do all on 4s and things like that. But with the technology that we're seeing and the ability to do these types of restorations, maybe that's where the Crown and Bridge Labs need to maybe refocus more on the all on 4. Having said that, I put 3 bridges on 6 crowns, and break them up. And Celeste asked me, yeah, but what if you lose an implant? And I was like dumbfounded for a minute, and I went, yeah. I started thinking all the years I placed bridges on implants and for full mouth reconstruction, and I'm going, gosh, I think I've only lost 4 or 5, but I didn't have a quick response to her. And I started thinking about when we did implant retained dentures. Geez, started those 30 years ago, and how many of those patients that we had back in the day, and then we saw them trailing off because the health of the population just continues to increase with knowledge and information that the ADA places out there, and that people are just way more health conscious than they used to be years ago. So I'm going, I don't lose that many, but the bottom line is what will be that competitive advantage for Crown and Bridge Labs? I don't know. I really don't. This is why, again, we have labs that hire us to lecture to their docs to teach them that by offering choice and charging the patient an additional fee for an upgraded crown is actually way more profitable than putting in a cheap one. And you can do that. That insurance companies allow you to do that. You just need to know how, which is what we've taught for years. And it helps the labs out because they're able to do their best work instead of putting in the cheapest thing possible, which has a low return on to the lab versus it's a little more profitable for them to do the better units. And so we teach on that, and here I am thinking, I'm teaching that, yet I'm a CAD/CAM doctor, and digital technology is just continuing to increase and becoming easier, more profitable, especially with what we teach at MPMB, and faster, and it's just like it's just what I call idiot proof. It's like if the average general practitioner can do CAD/CAM, and the technology allows him or her to do it well, why not? And that's where we are now. That's where we are with digital technology. It's fast, it's simple, it's easy, and it's almost affordable. It is very affordable. When you start looking at the ROI, again, it's 17 units if you don't know what we know at MPMB, and it's between 6 and 7 units if you go through our training. We teach you how to offer that value-added choice and CDT codes that you're not using that can be billed to the insurance company. So this is a fun and exciting time. I don't know where this is going. My heart goes out to the labs that are out there because they do great work, and I still believe that there's going to be a need for Crown and Bridge labs for years to come, but their market share is getting taken by digital technology. They know that. Obviously, Jim Glidewell knows that. I'm staring at my computer screen right now, looking at this advertisement, and my good buddy Jim next door with his lab, he knows it. So, what a weird week it's been having him come over and talk to me for a long time, and having some of our clients call and talk about how exciting CAD/CAM is, seeing this advertisement here, talking about it last Saturday in our class with the abilities that we have and the technologies to place implants with technology, which Celeste and I were talking about, and the ability to create the all-on-4s, which has been coined by Nobel, and or implant retained dentures, which was coined by Nobel. Now that I think about it, years ago, we were using Nobel implants for the ball and socket attachments with them clear back then. Dentistry is exciting. It's a lot of fun, and the most important thing is charge for what you do, and our patients get to benefit from this exciting technology that sits right in front of us every single day. And if you haven't checked on CAD/CAM, again, you've heard me talk about it because I'm so excited about it. I've talked about it last few podcasts, and I just continue to just glow at the technology. I mean, it's just like, it's so exciting, people. I love it. And here, the one last thing I have to say, that all the doctors have been through the training, and the one word that they use that makes dentistry exciting again is the word fun. CAD/CAM's fun. It's fun to do. It's fun to create. It's fun to make the whole appointment come together in such a short period of time. And what a great benefit it is to our patients. Thank you so much for tuning into the My Practice, My Business podcast. You can find additional podcasts you may have missed that will help you with your dental practice at Apple iTunes Podcasts. And remember to become a subscriber to our podcast. Many of you have asked how to help support the My Practice, My Business podcast. If you have enjoyed the program and information you received today, the best way to help is to leave us a 5-star review. Thanks again for allowing us to be a part of your day.